On this episode of Life Stories of Extraordinary People, I'm talking with Chemmy Alcott. Chemmy is a 4-time Winter Olympian and former World Cup alpine ski racer. Chemmy has got more metal inside her than she cared to be reminded of. I imagine it's quite a conversation at airport security each time she sets off all the alarms. In all seriousness, throughout her career as a world-class athlete, Chemmy has had multiple injuries, including breaking her neck and her back. I'm keen to talk to her about her resilient attitude and positive mindset to overcome these injuries and come back each time. Since retiring as a professional skier in 2014, Chemmy has transitioned seamlessly into the world of broadcasting, showcasing her versatility and her passion and knowledge of the sport she loves. She is no stranger to adversity and remains committed to inspiring the next generation and educating people from all over the world through sport. Most notably, she's created the XL scheme, which aims to develop girls' confidence through sport. Chemmy, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure.
In your studio.
Yeah. Tell me, who is Chemmy Alcott?
Chemmy Alcott is a 4-time Winter Olympian, now TV presenter for Ski Sunday, a 3-time Guinness World Record holder, and an exhausted mum, a say-yesser to absolutely everything. Things that I shouldn't say yes to. I just wake up every day and I want to use every opportunity that comes my way.
Have you always been like that?
I have. I think I love to be busy.
Yeah.
I'm very much a day person. People say, how do you live this pace of life? And it's because I wake up in the morning, I start that pace, and then at 9 p.m, I can't even talk. I mean, sometimes I have to go and do a keynote at 11 p.m. And I get so nervous that day, not because I'm doing a keynote in front of hundreds of people, but because I've got to stay up after 9 p.m.
Wow. And are you scheduled all the way through the week, every week, or do you kind of try and condense it to the next few days?
I live day by day, so I plan. I've got a paper calendar. I can't do this high-tech IT calendars. I have to have a paper calendar, especially with the family.
That's cool.
I need everything, and it's month by month. It's this big.
Yeah.
It's very annoying to travelling with because it's an A3. Can't fit in any handbags or anything. And I wake up and I look at that calendar. So I don't allow myself to stress about tomorrow today because I'm too busy today to do that. I think if I was, then my effectivity for today would lower.
You'd overthink
so I'm like,
about
right,
it.
this is what I'm doing today. This is where I've got to be. What else can I fit in? I do that.
Yes.
In traveling
Yeah.
places, I'm like, okay, what else can I do?
There's massive energy coming off you. And you've been at the height of your time as an athlete. You know, you were 7th in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Take me back to what you actually wanted to be when you were growing up. Did you almost have a choice, or you were in skis from such a young age?
My dad was a rugby player,
Yeah.
and my mum was a swimmer. So I always say I got his glutes and her lungs, and I was made to be this mountain goat. But the truth is, I'm the youngest of a very big family. And by the time I was born, my eldest brother was already racing. He'd
Yeah.
been talent spotted. He was the cool one of the family. I wanted to copy what he was doing. He was my inspiration. I was very frustrated at 18 months when I started to ski because I couldn't do it straight away. So I did have to be bribed. I had penny sweets. I had everything to get me going. And then once I had that freedom, I loved it and I never really looked back. And a lot of people ask me how I was able to overcome adversity during my career with injuries. And it's because I go back to why I started the sport at that, 3-year-old, 18 months old. I loved it. I really, to have that independence at that age, that you're going out there and do something fast, exciting with your family, trying to keep up with your brothers. It kind of embeds itself in your heart and it's always there.
And natural competitiveness as well.
Oh,
Keep up with your
definitely.
brother.
Unfortunately, I've married a ski racer, a former ski racer as well. Yeah. So the competitiveness is there. Who can eat dinner fastest? I mean, there's no line. You can't draw a line.
No.
That's actually something that I'd hoped would lessen when I became a mother. I thought, oh God, when I become this earth mother figure, I won't be competitive. I'll have time to just put everyone else first. And it's like, no, that doesn't change at all.
No, because we met, I think it was January 2020.
Yeah.
And you were relatively new mum then.
I was,
and I remember you were saying it's just like so, it's all new and so on, but I can't stop the pace. I can't stop what I'm doing.
But I think that's really good as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I went back to work after both kids. They were born at terrible times for someone who works in winters, January the 13th and 16th. I went back to work 2 weeks after giving birth. I was on skis and skiing again. And a lot of people try to say, take more time. But for me, it was really important to keep my passions going whilst having this incredible new passion of being a mother. And I think my children now, they're 6 and 4, have really understood that I say yes to things because I'm not defined by being a mother. And I'm judged quite a lot by saying that, but I'm a better mother
Negatively?
because, yes, I'm a better mother because I wear these different hats, because the whole time I've continued to work and continued to ski fast. And it's not being selfish, it's about knowing what I need. And I'm confident enough as a woman to do that and as a mother to do that.
I
And
love
lots
that.
of other women aren't. They think that when they become a mother, their previous existence is gone. But I don't believe that. I think you need to keep it ticking over.
I love that. And are your kids following in your footsteps now? Forgive me, I can't remember their ages, but are they coming into skiing
I mean,
now?
they love skiing. They love it.
Yeah.
I'm in a real hard place because as much as I love the sport and it's my passion to tell everyone to do it, the younger generation who are really good at skiing, because of the sustainability of the mountains going forward, I don't know if our sport will even exist in 20, 30 years unless we do something about it now. We need to protect our mountains. We need to protect our winters because the ice melt from the glacier is shocking. It's
horrible
disastrous.
to hear that.
And we saw what happened last winter. I mean, I work on Ski Sunday. It's an incredible show. It's a fantasy show. 30% of the people who watch our show don't actually ski or snowboard. They watch it because they want to see these white peaks. They want to see this adrenaline, this crazy sport.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So for us to film last winter when we were turning up in the middle of January to these races, which were literally white strips of snow in these muddy fields, we would have to travel far and wide to glaciers in order to get those fantasy shots of these mountain peaks. And I just, you know, it's not pulling wool over people's eyes because we do talk about it a lot that these mountains are going. But at the same time, for my sons and the legacy of the sport, I am pushing them to do other things than skiing, even though they love it, because I don't know if that sport as a profession will be there for them.
Gosh, it's terrifying to hear. It makes it so real, right?
It's
I've not
re-
heard
it is
that before,
real.
actually.
It is real, and it's really sad, and I'm just learning about it, and I'm not making all the the choices,
No.
but I'm trying to do the things that I can do and use my voice and rent my clothing for Ski Sunday and drive an electric car. I mean, last winter I drove an electric car 6,000 miles around the Alps. It was a nightmare. It was the most stressful thing ever because of the infrastructure that's not there.
No, it's finding someone to charge
But I'm
it.
stubborn. This is. I said I would do it, so damn well would I do it. And it was really tough. In fact, it's the only time I've really ever felt anxiety because I'm not an anxious person.
No.
But I was in Germany at 3 a.m. I booked a hotel because it had a charging point. There was a electric car, dumped in that charging point for 3 days, so I couldn't use it.
No.
I had 2% left. I needed to drive 8 hours the next day, and I just crumbled on the ground. But it showed me, you know, that I'm stronger than these hurdles and I'm still facing the hurdles and the adversity. And I need that. You need that to grow as a person. It's really hard in those dark moments when you're at the bottom and you're injured or you're facing horrendous times to go, okay, this is challenging me. This is good.
Yeah.
But that is very important.
I mean, could I take you back to, you know, you've had some serious injuries. You've broken your neck, you've broken your back.
Yeah.
And in the middle of a career as well, where the pressure to come back and will I be the same and so on. What did you do? I mean, it sounds like you're naturally positive, you know, and resilient, but what did you do to build that and grow that?
Well, I need to precede my injuries by the fact that for 8 years of my life, I was incredibly fast, had the potential to win and chose not to win because I skied at 80% because I had a huge fear of failure, fear of letting other people down. I had an incredible amount of sponsors. People were investing a huge amount into my career. And I was so nervous that if I skied at 100% and still didn't win, then I'd have to admit to them and all these people who'd admitted themselves, who'd invested in me, myself, that I just wasn't good enough.
Wow.
So instead, I mean, this is horrendous. I chose to perform at 80%. I kept 20% in my back pocket to self-validate why I wasn't winning. And those were the years where I had what it took to win. So actually the injuries are something I'm really proud of because they came at the end of that cycle where I put myself in a position, I became the first British ski racer to win a run in the World Cup. That's when I really believed, oh my gosh, I can do this. I can be the very best in my profession. I just need to let go of that fear and those inhibitions and ski free. And I did. And when I skied free, obviously in a sport like skiing, there's a very small margin between success and disaster. And then the injuries came and the helicopters came and the surgeries came and everything from that point on. My career actually looks disastrous, but that's the most satisfactory part of my life as a ski racer.
Probably where you learned the most about yourself, right?
Every day I pushed out that start gate, I was on my limit. I was choosing to be the best that I could be, as opposed to the years before where I wasn't. I was choosing to be a less best version of myself.
Wow. And what age were you when that first major injury forced you to go for 100%?
2006 was when I had the ability to go all out.
Right.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. We're actually filming in the JAAQ, Just Ask a Question, social media mental health platform.
Yeah.
And you mentioned you don't normally suffer from anxiety, but I think we all ultimately have mental health to deal with at certain points in life and people around us.
Definitely.
What are your thoughts on JAAAQ?
I thought it was an amazing forum. When I first went to the website, the clarity with what I was looking at, some people try to very overcomplicate things and you can't dive into it. I dove in and I actually spent about 40 minutes on the website the first time I'd ever clicked on. And it just showed you how much you can learn from different spectrums. The amount of different identities and personalities and stories on there, I thought was incredible. And yes, I don't on paper. If I was to tick a box, I wouldn't say I suffered from mental health, but I suffer from things that affect me mentally and don't let me be the best I can be, like perfectionism. I'm a perfectionist. Everyone thinks that's great. It's disastrous. It's very limiting in life to always think about being the perfect version of yourself. Instead of looking for perfection, we should look for excellence, because that's a rolling progression of you being the best, and that allows you to make mistakes. So my big message is I want to get everyone to find 100% of themselves. 110% doesn't exist. Big gripe I have there. You can only be 100% of yourself. Yeah. And when you find that 100%, you're going to have days where you win, you're going to have days where you make mistakes, but those are all opportunities to grow as a person. Yeah. And I think that is mental health. That is growth mental health. That's positive mental health. That's how you can be your best. Yeah.
You've articulated that so well. What about yourself? So clearly you keep physically fit by default with what you do. And then imagine in between skiing and so on, I'd love to know what you do to keep physically fit, running, yoga, and then mentally as well. Do you do breathing exercises? Yeah. Do you do cold showers? I'd love to know what works for you.
So physically, I have to train. I try and train every single day. It is mostly for my mental health and for my food health. Okay. They are attached. I have issues with what I put into my body, what I'm eating, and the guilt I feel. So when I train early on in the day, I can enjoy what I eat. I love food. Yeah. If I don't train early on in the day, I still eat the same, but I can't enjoy it. I feel a huge amount of guilt. So that's something for me that I've always channeled that physical energy towards. I also love just pushing myself, but in a variety of ways. I think for 20 years being in 4 Olympic cycles, I had a very strict controlled program of what I was doing every single day. Heart rate monitor, everything was measured. So now I have a lot more freedom. Yeah. How do I feel today? What do I want to do? Do I want to go for a run? Do I want to lift weights? I love Pilates. I love surfing. So I kind of just look at how I can be active and how I can enjoy it. And I love lifting weights. People get very surprised by that because I had to lift weights forever, but I control that now. And there's quite a nice thing of being able
to vary it a lot.
Loads of variety. Yeah. Loads of variety. I do, if I'm training specifically for something, so come November, December, before the ski season, I will do much more ski specific weights so that I'm ready. Because Ski Sunday, we ski a lot. We also have to talk whilst we ski. I'm skiing for a lot of the winter. But I also train so that I can say yes. And this is what I started off with. I love these amazing opportunities that come my way. And I want to be physically ready so that I can say yes. Oh, do you want to go and raft the Amazon? 180 kilometers in 3 days. Yeah, I do. Yeah. I bust my back doing that actually. Oh, but yes, so that's why I train physically. But I talked about the mental training. I think it's imperative for me to have that escapism every day. And I structure that into my day. A lot of people don't because they think I've got work, I've got family. Yeah. Okay, but to work and be your best, you have to get physically active or do your meetings on the move, get outside at lunchtime. There are ways that you can manufacture it into your day where you're not missing out on other aspects. Yeah.
I found I've gone on the treadmill a few times. If I just got a load of emails and payments to make and stuff, and I think actually that's probably going to take me an hour. Yeah, I can do X amount of kilometres just at a fast walk. Yeah, it's difficult when it's calls. Suddenly it's like, what's he doing? He's out of breath. You're puffing. If I know them well enough, I might do. But it's just making the time and making the day fit together with what you can do.
Exactly.
Sounds like and you obviously had a lot of a team around you when you're an athlete and so on. You haven't found it difficult to then discipline yourself since there's no one actually saying, do this, do that, heart rate monitor now, you manage yourself really well?
No, I quite like it. But that's because I don't have a specific goal. I think if I was to sign up to an event with a specific goal, then I would get a team around me because I know that they will bring out the best in me. Yeah. Whereas I like the freedom to be able to choose what I'm doing and my next action, my next physical action right now. Yeah. Because I think for so long that was chosen for me and taken out of my control. So having that control is really nice. But I have to have that variety. And I think a lot of people are scared to get active because they think it's just running. They think it's just this. But like I go to primary schools for young girls now to talk about the value of sport. And when I grew up, it used to be, you got to do netball, you got to do hockey. That's what, that's what there is. Nowadays, there's so many expressive forms of physical activity for them with dance and yoga that actually there's definitely an avenue for everyone to find some mental and physical well-being through sport.
Yes.
So I think that holds a lot of people back when they think, oh, I don't like running. I don't like going to the gym. Okay, that's 2 areas. What about this whole other sphere of ways that you can get physically active and have fun?
Yeah.
And that is the most important, keeping the variety,
That's brilliant.
spice of life.
And I've made that mistake. I've consistently done a certain amount of exercise the same way in the gym, and then I've got bored of it. And then I don't want to go back and do it again. And I've got to remind myself, hey, there's so many different things I can do, or just don't go to the gym, go and do something else. I've got 2 daughters, just turned 12 and 13.
Good luck.
You'll be a massive inspiration. Yeah, I know. I'm in that. I mean, the switch has been flicked. It's like, this is what everyone's been talking to us about. But in terms of inspiring youngsters and showing them what more they can do than just what the schools say, what do you think about the current education system? Your kids are younger than mine and so on, but it just feels like there's a lot of things that potentially are broken, archaic. I might be alone on that, but I'm just finding that conversation's coming in a lot more. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that we need to support the school system to use a different language in order to get the best out of our children. I am not a runner, but I've been volunteering at my son's school, helping with preschool running club for the last 5 months. And already in that very small environment, my son's at an infant school, so they're 5 and 6 years old. I have seen that the language is being used to promote winning as opposed to effort. I've trained these young girls. There's like 50-50 girls and boys.
Sure.
And the girls always come, they bring it every single week. And then I was like, right, we're going to do a bleep test just for fun. And we go and do this bleep test. And within the second level, which they can all definitely do, they all stop and they quit. There was like this sheep culture of all the young girls stopping. And it was really scary. And I went over and I said, you're not at your limit. This is about us going as hard as we can go.
Yeah.
And like, no, because we know that boy's going to win over there. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. He is an incredibly talented runner who won't go to his maximum today. He won't break a sweat. That is not what we want to see. Look at these 5 over here who are on the floor sweating, who haven't made it. That is what we want to see. People who can get to that 100% themselves. And what the school, and it's not this school's fault because I've seen it everywhere.
Yeah, it's
celebrating winning and that very tiny margin of people at the very, very top who actually sometimes achieve because they're naturally talented, not because they're putting in the most effort.
Yeah.
We need to change this system to go, right, let's celebrate effort. Let's celebrate trying, especially with young girls, because unfortunately there's a culture right now where young girls are afraid to try, are afraid to push themselves because they think other people are watching and they think they want to be the Chemmy who lived at 80%. It's an easier way to be because you don't have this emotional roller coaster of winning and losing because you're just, I'm just here, I'm just neutral.
It feels like if you just shift the perspective and you give more information and better education, those people will then actually be inspired to try.
Yeah. I'm actually just, because of this, I'm so passionate about it, I'm going to write a book about it.
Brilliant.
So about a month ago, I decided to write this book about fear and how to harness fear in young people. It's everyone says it's a dirty word. Young people are scared to say, I'm scared, because they think they'll be judged on it.
Yeah.
Because parents very infrequently let their guard down and say, hey, I've made a mistake in front of their kids, because they think to inspire the younger generation, you've always got to be successful. That's actually not inspirational at all. They want to see you fail. So I learnt to skateboard at 40 last year with my kids.
Yeah.
And I fell over. I got scars all over my legs.
More metal in you.
And they, exactly, because I didn't have enough wrist. And then when I got it, my sons ran over like, oh my gosh, that's great. You kept trying again and again. You finally got it. And I'm like, right, this is what we need. So I'm writing this book for parents and children to read together. And half the page is for a child. It's got beautiful illustrations and it's a children's story about, I don't want to read in front of my friends because I'm not as good at, all the fears that young children have. And the other side is what parents can do and say to help their kids. The language is so important. And I'm really excited about it. And it's something
the timing of this it's so needed, I can tell you, because it's a big conversation in our family and the families around us where being afraid of standing out for the wrong reasons, being afraid of failing. You know, I mean, you know, you get growth from trying. As you said, the kids aren't trying, holding about 20%, 30%. And you can surprise yourself, let alone even if you fail, you've learned. It might be that that's not the right thing, but through that, I'm good at this now. And so it's not happening. People are just going into their
my life motto is I never lose. Either I win or I learn. And that's something that I still do all the time. I'm still failing on a daily basis. And that means that I'm succeeding in life.
I bet you're mega competitive.
Yeah, I am.
I meant that in a good way.
But
also
I don't
just
always
in
win.
things...
But I don't always win. And that's really, really important. You know, I'm not afraid to go to group fitness classes where other people, because I've got this Olympic tag, they have their ego going, I'm going to beat her today. I'm like, you probably am. You probably am. But that's okay, because I'm just thinking about what I can do to be my best. So it's important to go out there and push yourself, even though you won't win.
What do you think is your greatest strength?
I think that's my greatest strength, is being able to push myself out my comfort zone now. And I was really lucky to have sport to teach me that, because a lot of people don't have that sport and that self-awareness.
It's a discipline as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, every day as an athlete, I woke up, what can I do today to be better, stronger, faster? It's very selfish. And now I'm a mum, I still have those moments, and that helps me still grow. You know, I'm 41, but there's nothing to say that there's a huge amount of learnings that I can do now. Yeah.
Biggest weakness?
Stubbornness. I'm really stubborn. I say yes to things, and I always try and follow them through because I've said yes. And that means sometimes I take on too much and I'm too busy, and then I get really, really stressed. But I think I need to go there to be my best. So I
was going to say it parallels. It's almost strength. You've achieved a lot of success through your career. How do you define success now at 41?
Success is having the confidence to go out there and be your best, regardless of the fact that you might make mistakes, and you will make mistakes. But when you face adversity, which, by the way, I've redefined, adversity isn't calamity or misfortune. For me, adversity stands for another disastrous venture ends really surprisingly in triumph. And yes, there are going to be hurdles that you face. But those hurdles and those moments that you fall and have to drag yourself up are the moments where you find out how you can be the very best version of yourself.
Yes.
So they're imperative. Adversity needs something we welcome.
Yes.
Not get scared by.
Love that. So the winter's a particularly intense time for you with the whole winter sports side of things. You mentioned earlier when we were talking, you've done a TEDx talk, which I'd love to know more about. But just in terms of how you went into broadcasting and that positive energy and the knowledge you've taken through into that, the rest of the year, how do you break it all up? How do you sort of manage your time and what you want to be doing and choosing to be doing?
So yeah, my winters are really, really busy. I feel a huge amount of guilt during my winters because I'm out there living my 5-year-old dream. I wanted to win the Olympics and present Ski Sunday. I didn't do the former. I think because I didn't do the former, I have achieved the latter, because I've got so much more knowledge from actually not winning the Olympics and learning about how to interview athletes and talk about the stories as opposed to just the winning, which is, as I said, very, very important. So yeah, Ski Sunday is amazing. It's a massive chunk. I love working alongside Ed. He's an absolutely inspirational presenter to be there with, and to be able to broaden the love of the sport that I adore is really, it's an honour, massive honour. Then I do loads of brand work. I mean, I have more brand sponsors now than I did when I was an athlete. There's something wrong with that model, but I think it's because I graft and I say yes, and I know what companies want from me and I know how to help them. Especially I try and get involved with lots of winter startup companies in the UK, because I've got this voice now, and if I believe in it, I want it to succeed. And then I do loads of keynote speaking. So I travel the world doing inspirational speaking. I've been to Orlando. I mean, I've been everywhere the last few years, and that's something that I'm really inspired by. I never believed that I would have a story that could help people, because I was so drummed into me that my goal is to win the Olympics, and I didn't achieve that. But actually, there's a massive strength in that because it makes me relatable.
100%.
I also act on stage and do all this crazy stuff and try and make the audience feel fear, and so I do that. And then in springtime, I try and be a very present mother.
Well, that's awesome.
Probably overly present, because I'm trying to make up for the fact that I was away.
Yeah, but if you spread that out, balance it, you're
I think my children love it. I mean, they're getting to the phase now where they know what I do and they're very proud. I mean, I hear them sometimes telling other people what I do, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. They get it.
Yeah. What have you not achieved yet that is something you really are aiming for?
Oh, there's so much I've not achieved.
Give me the main, the headlines.
The book thing. I've always wanted to have a message that filters through to young people.
Yeah.
And I do a lot of speaking into schools. So this is something that I really want to be able to change, the culture of why we do sport.
Yeah.
We don't do sport to win. We do sport because of all the incredible life skills we learn from it.
Yes.
And how to use sport to bring out the best in young people. That's something that I'm really passionate about. I've started it a little bit. I created with United Learning a scheme called Excel. And we travelled around the UK and we created young leaders to talk about the value of sport and why we do sport.
That's such a cool initiative.
And that was amazing because it's self-fulfilling. We don't have to do it anymore because we've got this leadership program going through with their peers.
Awesome.
But there's lots more of that. I mean, there's so much more. There are so many more targets that I don't actually know what they are.
Yeah.
Because I'm ready to just keep evolving, keep challenging myself, both physically, mentally. I want to see, where I can go in the next 40 years. I think I've got 40 years left.
That's awesome. It sounds like there's things that will come out of the opportunities that you're working on. So, you'll grab an opportunity as you feel it's...
Always.
Yeah.
Always. And sometimes they're not things that you had in your life plan. And that's why I don't believe in having such a structured life plan. I mean, the whole time, I hated goal setting as an athlete because I think it's really challenging. You either overconfident or you're undermining your confidence.
Sure.
I hated having a birth plan because that went out the window and you just had to be reactive. So I'm reactive. That's what I am.
Yeah.
I'm passionate and reactive.
Yeah, that's a great way of being. So take me back to a time that you can remember where you just had one of these injuries and you're laid up and that's it. You can't actually do anything. Relating that to someone that might be watching this now, you're so inspiring, you're so positive. What advice would you give to someone that is now maybe going for dream, going for goal, and has just got to recover? What can they do? What's the mindset?
Yeah, it's an incredible, tough time when you've been derailed so magnificently. And then, I find injuries actually were quite healthy because I felt pain. And it was a physical pain, but it was a mental pain as well. Someone was pulling the carpet underneath you and you're like, oh my gosh, it's all gone. But actually, that's an amazing time to be able to look back and realize the gratitude that you have for what you do. Yeah. I mean, every time I had time away from the sport, I realized the grass wasn't greener. Yeah. I think it was probably tougher for the family around me. I mean, I had an intervention caused by my family where they wanted me to quit. They were like, you've done enough. You've had enough goes. Your body is breaking and you're putting it on the limit. But they didn't understand what drives me. I mean, I didn't ski because I wanted to be famous or make money. I ski because I absolutely love it. And you saw that when we skied together. I mean, if I could do it every single day of the rest of my life, I would. It's my passion.
100%.
So actually that's helped me get back to it always. Yeah. So bring your core back to why you're doing it. Use those. I mean, I remember the biggest injury I had. They told me it was going to be a couple of years. I might never do it again. I remember I bought a Japanese language course and a guitar. And I was like, right, I'm going to learn these. Actually, a rehabbing athlete.
Gave yourself a focus.
Yeah, but a rehabbing athlete is so complex with the amount of attention to detail you have to do and machines you have to plug into every day that I didn't have time for it. I've still got those things. But I think that's good. Take that time and distract yourself and bring your heart back to why you're doing it.
Yeah. Find your why, your purpose.
Find your why.
You are so inspiring to talk to.
Thanks.
So positive. When we met a few years ago to now, totally consistent. Thank you so much.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Cheers, Chemmy.
Oh, it was great.